Joe Heschmeyer here, I am not a big fan of. I don't think he engages in good faith. I think the way he treated Alex was abhorrent, and I think it was cowardly. And Alex has every right to be a little pissy about it because Alex was promoting the discussion / debate, saying, hey, it's going to happen in a few months, guys. Get ready. This is going to be awesome. This is what it's going to be about, blah, blah, blah. This is two lawyers, right? The whole thing was supposed to be like, hey, two lawyers, one Catholic, one Orthodox, kind of go over the legality of the arguments from both sides. And I thought that would have been an interesting discussion. Of course, he completely refused to engage in good faith on this. And I guarantee you, as this goes forward, this person is not going to engage furthermore in good faith.
I might object. One is the Filioque, even if it's true, shouldn't have been added to the creed unilaterally. This is actually...
See, they always do this. The Filioque, even if it's true, it's not true, though. The Filioque, as understood in Florence and as understood by the Catholics since Florence, is false.
A little bit more of a complicated history than I think most people realize, because the Nicene Creed is not actually given to us by the First Council of Nicaea.
Yes, it is. It's expanded upon in a following council. And then that following council said it can no longer be changed.
Is a baptismal formula used seemingly in or around Nicaea that becomes very influential, but you see several early adaptations. And so it's actually the First Council of Constantinople that gives a modified form of the Nicene Creed. So there's good historical evidence from my recollection, and this is not an issue I remember all of the history on, that local churches were doing something like the Filioque before First Constantinople.
Again, the question is, did those local councils understand it in the way that is understood post-Florence? We would say no. Temporal procession was always what was understood. Whenever someone said the Holy Spirit comes from the Son, they're talking about temporally, right? No one is saying, and no one that I know of says that, none of the early church fathers that I'm aware of say that it's eternal procession. And there's a very clear distinction there. So, again, he's just not engaging with the actual substantive arguments that we're making. It's almost as if they make a caricature of our argument and then attack the caricature called a straw man, for those of you who don't know. Again, if you just learn to spot basic fallacies and learn how to reason out basic logical conundrums, it's very quickly becomes it really quickly reveals itself that a lot of the people that attack orthodoxy don't have a leg to stand on.
Based on variations of the Nicene Creed. That in other words, it's not as if the Pope just said, like, I'm going to add and the Son. That rather there were various forms of the creed being used before First Constantinople. And some of them continued to be used. I mean, we find other creeds being used. So is the argument that we're not allowed to use a creed not given by the council?
Yes.
Well,
that is the argument. You are not to use a creed or add. How do I say this? You're not to add to a creed that's been established by a council. If another council establishes another creed and that creed is explicating different doctrine, then sure. But I hope the caller understands this. My assumption is Catholic Answers is not going to post a clip of them getting owned, right? But we'll see.
I guess my main question would be, what do the Catholics mean by the Filioque? What do they mean? Do they mean there are two sources of the Holy Spirit?
No, absolutely not. I'm glad you asked.
You're just lying. He's just lying. They absolutely believe, per the council, the post-Florence, the Roman Catholic Church overwhelmingly says that it is eternal procession that they were talking about. That is what caused the main issue.
Because that's really important. There is an important reunion called the Union of Brest, where this issue is clarified. That what we mean is that the origin, as it were, of the Holy Spirit is the Father alone. But
that's not what it says. That's not what it says. Dude, I'm going to crash out on Joe Heschmeyer. He's lying. It literally does not say from the Father alone. Dude, I'm going to crash out right now. Holy crap. I hate these liars. Rats in the chats, guys. All right, everybody already. We got a rat. Rat Heschmeyer decides to be a rat. Surprise, surprise. Oh my Lord, I'm going to crash out on this donkey. You donkey. Nicholai crashing out. Surprise. You know what? That's a good idea. Let's do it. Let's go in on X. So Joe Heschmeyer literally just literally lied to an Orthodox caller about what Rome believes about the Filioque. He blatantly misrepresented the very quote he put on screen. Amazing. See my live reaction here. Let me get my crazy stuff, guys. Oh, I gotta take Heschmeyer. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think Joe might. Shameless. His name is Shameless Pope. Shameless Popery. There we go. He's tagged. There we go. That is crazy. That is absolutely insane. Absolutely freaking insane that he just, like, guys, am I crazy here? Everybody, did he not lie about what this is saying? He says, but the Holy Spirit proceeds not from two sources and not by double procession, but from one origin, from the Father through the Son. That is double speak. It's the same thing. Does the Spirit eternally proceed from the Father through the Son? If that is the case, then it is double procession by definition. This is weaselly behavior. This is a distinction without a difference. A distinction without a difference. Absolutely rat-like behavior from this guy. Disliked.
That the Father spirates or breathes the Spirit through the Son.
What does that even mean?
So you don't have two principles.
This is why Rome is such a shit show. Because you have to have lawyers like this rat who go around and will say, oh, let me like try and twist the words so that they mean something that they don't. Actually, you know what? I got to go back there and fix this because I got to tag Alex Soren as well. Bro, I cannot believe that. Okay, let's continue.
Of origin, but there is a much clearer Trinitarian relationship from Father, Son to Spirit, and it's much clearer why we say the second person and the third person of the Trinity. Whereas, if you're lacking a conception of that, then the relationship between the Son and the Spirit is ambiguous, because all you can say is one proceeds by begetting and one proceeds by spiration. But since those terms mean very little, I think.
What do you mean they mean little? Okay, listen. The reason that eternally begetting and eternal spiration is distinct is that they must be distinct, because if they both share the same thing, then the uniqueness of them is undercut. Second, it is how the early church understood. The early church used those words for a reason. Do you, Joe Heschmeyer, think that you're smarter than the Cappadocians or smarter than the people at Nicaea who formulated this doctrine? Clearly you do. You think that, oh, well, we don't really know what that means. Well, maybe it's because God is eternally infinite and that not everything is explicated 100%. Is it explicated in a logical formula that is like mathematical on how specifically baptism regenerates us? No, it doesn't. It doesn't explicate with detail what is actually occurring biologically, spiritually, and everything else when we're baptized. But we know that those things happen. How it works, we don't really have a clear understanding. Does that mean that there's not a distinction? It doesn't follow. You're presupposing an entire thing before you even get to it. It's ridiculous.
To the ordinary Christian, why is one of them the second person and another is the third person of the Trinity feels arbitrary. It's clear why the Father.
It's because it's the tradition. It's not arbitrary. It's what's been passed down to us. So clearly, Christ, who passed this tradition to the apostles, who passed this tradition to the bishops, and those bishops had then explicated this doctrine in the councils, clearly had a reason for it. It's not arbitrary. Nothing about God that the councils decided and that tradition has codified is arbitrary. It's exactly what Pufferfish here says. Pufferfish's Latin apologetics has become sophistry at this point. What do you call this besides sophistry? Joe Heschmeyer, shame on you. I know you're smarter than this. Like, you're a lawyer. You're well studied enough to realize how bad this argument is.
There's the first person. He's the origin of the Trinity. But it becomes less clear, second versus third person. So whether it was prudent or not to add the Filioque, I think Christians can reasonably disagree on that.
You don't have a choice to disagree. Your Pope decides whether you disagree or not, idiot. You don't get a choice. And if the Pope doesn't explicate it and says it's open for interpretation, then you have fundamentally contradictory worldviews that within your own church you're allowed to hold to. You're allowed to hold to fundamentally contradictory worldviews. Oh,
nothing heretical about praying the creed without the Filioque.
How so? They're contradictory.
Even popes have done this in the past. And if you go to Eastern Catholic churches, you'll find it prayed without the.
That just proves you're inconsistent. Oh, we have Eastern Catholics that have it without. Yes. Hello, that gives points to the Orthodox view. Oh, my Lord. As Pufferfish says, Christians can disagree on dogma, bro. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? These people are just crazy. This is absolutely insane, batshit, stupid shit.
The Filioque. But what the Filioque is expressing is both true and actually an important bit of Trinitarian theology.
Okay. The Cappadocian Fathers taught the monarchy of the Father. The Eastern Orthodox Church holds the monarchy of the Father, and yet it's clearly, from your paradigm, not serious enough to do so. Furthermore, to split the church over. Yet, you're putting yourself, Nicholai blood pressure medication fund. Thank you, Mr. Fist, for the 10 Australian. Appreciated, brother. Dude, I'm about to crash out. Like, I don't crash out as often as I used to anymore. Oh my gosh, I just hate dishonest people. Like, I just hate people that disagree, engage dishonestly. Hate it. Oh. Okay. All right.
That should be. I mean, maybe a council should do it to smooth everything over, but it should be something.
There's no one in the cafe. It's a self-serve cafe. There's no one here. There's no one here. That's how I'm not getting kicked up. And if someone was in here, I'd just kind of I'd bring it down to about this level and we just have a conversation. But I'm crashing out because I'm allowed to. So I might as well use the fact that it's empty right now to my advantage.
Something Christians recognize, that there is this relation. When Jesus breathes on the apostles, this is a reflection of something in the inner life of God, that the Spirit proceeds through the Son.
Yes, I believe the Spirit proceeds from the Father through the Son. Even Serafima Sarov, a Russian monk, is quoted as saying that. But the creed should not read...
the text of the Union of Brest.
Nice interruption there, dude. Such a dishonest little actor. Like, let the guy get his thoughts out before you injure it. Should remain that which was handed down to us in the Holy Scriptures, in the Gospels, in the writings. Okay, who cares? You say, and in the writings of the Holy Greek Doctors, just assertion. That's all the Union of Brest is saying. It's just an assertion.
It says this.
All it shows is that Rome is inconsistent. That's all it's doing. It reveals that Rome is inconsistent. That's all it's doing.
That this is when the Ruthenians come back to the Catholic Church. So they should remain with what was handed down to us in the Holy Scriptures, in the Gospel, and in the writings of the Holy Greek Doctors. That is,
the Ruthians show the inconsistency. Oh my Lord!
That the Holy Spirit proceeds from sound Eastern Orthodox and Eastern Catholic theologians agree. It's just a terminological dispute. And there is, a lot.
It's just terminology, bro. All those church fathers that anathematized each other over this and excommunicated each other over this. Oh, they were just overreacting. They didn't know what they were talking about. Paisios, thank you for the $5. Nicholai, do you believe that the Holy Emperor Nicholas II and his family were ritually murdered by the Bolsheviks? There is a lot of strong evidence for that. The exact details are less known, and a lot of people speculate on it, but it's not, in my opinion, if the church doesn't make a overt declaration on the specificity of that, then it's not our place to speculate too much further. I think it's fine to speculate, but to say that you must believe they were ritually murdered in this exact way, then no. But I do believe there was a aspect of ritual murdering in there. The writings of their captors and the writings of some of the people that murdered them absolutely suggest that. Most of the anarchists that murdered a lot of the Russian nobility that were faithful Orthodox Christians, like Duke Sergei, I think it's Duke Sergei, who in my opinion is a saint. His wife went on to become a martyred saint as well, and he was known to be a very pious man. But he was, they claim that it was political. But in my opinion, the anarchists killed people like that precisely because they were Orthodox. So, famously, his last words to his wife, Duke Sergei, was, she's like, she insisted that he bring guards. And he didn't want to risk any guards' lives because he said, if it is in God's plan that I should die, then nothing I do will prevent it. But if it is in his plan that I should live, nothing the enemy try and do against me will prevail. And that was his last words to his wife before he went off on his trip. And that was when he was blown up by a makeshift bomb by anarchists. So I have multiple friends that are trying to get the Russian Synod to decree that they were. I'm also reading several articles on it. I believe it. Well, Saint Tsar Nicholas II is becoming increasingly popular amongst the youth in Russia, and just amongst the Russian population, broadly speaking. And I think that it would be prudent for the Synod to do so. But again, the Synod is going to be skeptical to do anything without very strong evidence for it, and so they would have to do an evidence fact finding. They would have to basically take some scholars, take some church leadership, and look into it. So, anyways, the husband of Saint Elizabeth is a martyr as well. I believe so. I do, and I think in time he will be recognized as such. It's actually, believe it or not, it's still well within reasonable time frame for a lot of these people's death by the anarchists, for them to still be in consideration. So
a lot of this was misunderstanding, especially as it got translated from Latin into Greek, and it sounded like it was saying that there were two.
You're just a liar.
Origins.
You're a liar. Hey, Heschmeyer. You're just a liar. You're lying. And you're treating the church fathers as if they are stupid. You're treating your church leadership and our church leadership from the time when these things broke the church. You're treating them as if they're children.
Or a double procession, and the church clarified, no, that's not what we mean by that.
Well, wasn't it Thomas Aquinas that said the Father loves the Son and the Son loves the Father, and the love shared between the two is the Holy Spirit?
Well, the fructus.
Like
it's the fruit of the Father's love then being given back.
You contradicted yourself again! You literally said that the origin is from the Father alone, and then you contradicted yourself just now. Oh, I'm crashing out, guys. Crashing out. In this 6-minute clip, he has contradicted himself 3 times. You little liar.
Back to the Father through the Son. And the love is not itself the fruit of the love from the Father to the Son. So
it's not the love itself, it's the fruit of the love. Okay, Mr. Heschmeyer, who was bitching and moaning about, well, what's the difference between begetting and inspiration? It's kind of arbitrary. What's the difference between love and the fruit of love? Retard. Good Lord. This guy's a lawyer? Remind me, guys, if I'm ever in trouble in America, to never hire shameless popery Joe Heschmeyer. Good Lord. Before the rooster crows twice, Joe will contradict himself 3 times. I'm happy that you can see that, Nicholai. I agree with everything you said. Thank you. And I did not know that the Tsar was becoming extremely popular within the youth in Russia. I haven't heard, but I can't remember. That may be why they're making so many churches to him now. Yes. What about the Pope who put the creed without the Filioque on shields? I know, it's just ridiculous.
I understand. I mean, there's different formulations, but what the church at a magisterial level has said is that what we mean by the Filioque is the Father breathing the Spirit through the Son. And so if that's something that you agree with, which it sounds like it is, well, then hopefully that won't be an obstacle to your becoming Catholic.
Well, I think
hold on. Your Pope says not to try and convert us, shameless popery. The last 3 popes said it's a sin against ecumenism. A sin against ecumenism. Oh, but it was an ex cathedra. Okay, fine. Fine, you guys can you have your magic get out of free jail card. Anytime the Pope says something you don't like, you just say, oh, ex cathedra. Oh, it was an ex cathedra. Oh, it's just totally optional to believe. Then what is optional? What is dogma? Give me the infallible list of ex cathedra statements that I must believe to be Catholic. You can't do it. Do you believe we should pray what we believe? I don't know what that means. You ask the procession of the you ask what is the procession of the Holy Spirit? Tell me the first, what is the unbegottenness of the Father? And then I will explain to you the physiology of the generation of the Son and the procession of the Holy Spirit, and we shall both of us be stricken with madness for prying into the mystery of God. So true, Exet. That's a great point. I mean, guys, in this, I'm, God bless the caller. I hope you stay Orthodox. I hope that this doesn't, I hope this horrendously stupid answer did not convince you to become Catholic. And I hope that you took this answer to some apologists that were Orthodox to point out the blatant contradictions. That's St. Gregory the theologian, by the way. Yes, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
The church should change the creed to where it reads, and in the Holy Spirit who proceeds from the Father through the Son, not from the Father and the Son.
I would be fine with that. I wonder if that would smooth feathers over or if it would ruffle feathers more by the fact that we'd be changing the creed.
Well, I don't know if everybody could get together and agree on it, but I think that's a change that could be made. And it probably
I can't do it. Just these guys don't live. These guys do not live in reality. They are blatantly treating the church fathers like their children. Oh, you guys were just being totally unreasonable with this. What if the Pope said, I am speaking from the chair of Peter, invoking his charism to finally setting the manner of Vatican room is wrong? The thing is that they can just the papists will find some way to say, well, he said that, but he had his pinky and his finger crossed, which means that he was under duress, and therefore it's not binding. They would find the Tradcasts would find a reason to reject it. They would. But he didn't say Simon Says. I know, it's ridiculous. Exactly what you said, Rusty. All right, guys. So, Shameless Joe. Oh, I had like a immediate just disdain for what that guy just did.